Top of the morning to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all my friends. It's Miss Kaufman, your friendly global studies teacher. And I know it's not our typical St. Patrick's Day, but I wanted us to be able to connect and maybe have a smile together. So I'm all ready with my map, my decorations, my globe. Here I've got my shamrocks, which are looking a wee bit sad at the moment. They were much prettier a week ago. I've also got my four-leaf clover and one of my favorite books, yours too, that we're going to read a story from today. Also, I just wanted to point out that Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, is different than Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland belongs to Great Britain, along with Scotland, England, and Wales. We're talking about the Republic of Ireland, the Emerald Isle, 40 Shades of Green, rainbows, leprechauns, Irish step dancing, and like the most beautiful castles you've ever seen. Nicest people I ever encountered. What I want to do with you today is read a little story, and it's about a pot of gold. So listen in. This one was specific for March 17th. Donald O'Malley was walking down the lane one morning when he heard the sound of a hammering tap, tap, tap. He peered over a gate into a cabbage field and saw a tiny man in a pointed hat and a leather apron, sitting cross-legged, mending a shoe. Donald's heart skipped a beat. A leprechaun! What a piece of luck, he thought to himself. Everyone knew that if you found a leprechaun, he had to tell you where he'd buried his gold. Now, Donald, he thought to himself excitedly, here's a chance to be rich. Keep calm. Don't give the little fellow a fright, and if you keep your sharp eyes on him, he can't escape. The leprechaun stopped his hammering when Donald opened the gate. I see it's going to rain, said the leprechaun, although there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Will you be hurrying to take a shortcut through the other field? No, Donald said. Here is where I want to be. Then I'd like to thank you for shutting the gate, for the draft is getting to me, said the leprechaun. But Donald wasn't about to be tricked into taking his eyes off the little man. Now that I've found you, I want your pot of gold, Donald said. The leprechaun scratched his beard thoughtfully. Well, don't be so hasty, he said with a frown. I'll take you to my pot of gold, all right. But you'll not be walking far in those worn-out boots. Why don't I make you a new pair before we start? Donald reached down and grabbed the leprechaun. I don't need any boots, he said impatiently. Let me go, squeaked the little man. He kicked and he wriggled and he walloped Donald in the head with his tiny hammer. Stop your squeezing, or I'll have no breath for telling you where it is. Then promise you'll show me, and no mischief. The leprechaun agreed. As soon as he was on his feet, the leprechaun straightened his hat and set off across the cabbage field. Donald was surprised at how fast his tiny legs carried him and watched every step in case he ducked out of sight. When they reached the middle of the field, the leprechaun stopped and pointed at the cabbage. Here it is, he said. Oh, my life's treasure. Oh, my shiny gold. It's buried under here. You just have to dig it up. Donald could almost hear the jingle of gold coins in his hands. Of course, the leprechaun said. You'll be needing a spade to dig. Donald realized he was in a fix. If he went home to fetch a spade, he'd never find that same cabbage again. Then he had an idea. He unknotted the red handkerchief that he'd wrapped around his neck that morning and tied it around the cabbage. Promise me you won't touch that handkerchief while I go home for a spade. Oh, no, I won't can't lay a finger on it. I promise. You can trust me, honest. So Donald rushed home to fetch a spade. And as he hurried back up the lane, Donald thought of all the wonderful things he was going to buy with his pot of gold. You'll never have to do another day's work, Donald, he laughed to himself. But when he reached the field, he stopped at the gate and stared. For every cabbage, for as far as the eye could see, was covered and tied with a red handkerchief. Donald's heart sank. The crafty leprechaun was nowhere to be seen, but from far away came the sound of a tiny chuckle and the hammering of a tiny tap, tap, tap. Now, boys and girls, we know that if sometimes you are crafty, clever, cunning, and smart, you can be rewarded. In this story, though he was a trickster, the leprechaun was crafty, and his reward, he kept his pot of gold. What I am going to challenge you guys and girls with today is to find some magic somewhere. I know things are a little different this year, but that's okay, as long as we're keeping safe. And I have a couple of things that you could look up if you're interested. There's a certain type of music called Celtic music. I like it. There's some great Irish folk dancing. There's something called Irish step dancing. When you talk about stamina, if you want to YouTube that, you can put in Irish step dancing or river dance. That was really popular several years ago. I'm sure your parents are familiar with it. But expose yourself to something from the Emerald Isle today and appreciate the beauty that's there. I'll see you soon. Take care of yourselves.